At an outlet mall just north of Dallas.
We have the latest reports from Brownsville as to a possible motive in the suspect who plowed into a group of migrants.
And 2 suspects in Victoria arrested in a drive-by shooting this past Friday.
We actually had some stormy weather around the area. It was all north of I-10. That has collapsed, but look at this. Another band of storms developing. Will they move in our direction? That's the big question. We'll answer that coming up in just a moment.
And local gymnasts are returning from regionals and now preparing for nationals. That's coming up in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us for 25 News Now at 10. I'm Don Brubaker.
And I'm Karina Garcia.
Hallettsville police report 34-year-old Clayton Buster of Hallettsville has an outstanding warrant for possession of dangerous drugs. If you know where Clayton Buster is, contact your local law enforcement agency. Your tip to Lavaca County Crime Stoppers could earn you a cash reward.
In Victoria, police are investigating a shots fired call. It happened last night in the 2000 block of North Bend Wilson Street. Police say there was an argument in the parking lot of the Superstop when several gunshots rang out. 2 men wearing hoodies ran off and an SUV also sped off from the scene. Officers found spent shell casings and broken glass in the parking lot. Anyone with information can call Crime Stoppers at 361-572-4200.
On Friday, police arrested 2 people accused in a drive-by shooting. It happened around 1 p.m. in the 3600 block of Gale Street. Police say the victim's car has gunshot damage. No one was in the vehicle at the time of the shooting. 33-year-old Jonathan Orozco charged with disorderly conduct and criminal mischief. 31-year-old Amanda Sanders charged with illegally carrying a weapon. An Amber Alert issued for a missing teen who police believe is in grave or immediate danger. The San Antonio Police Department says they are searching for 14-year-old Jules Robinson. He is 5 foot 6 inches tall and is 130 pounds with black hair and brown eyes. He was last seen last Monday.
Robinson was wearing a paperboy hat, black thin frame glasses, a dark colored t-shirt, black Nike shorts, and slip-ons. Anyone with information about the abduction is asked to contact the San Antonio Police Department at 210-207-7660. And we go to that mall shooting just north of Dallas where a gunman killed 8 people, including at least 2 children. And tonight, the question is, had he been to that mall before, or was this his first time preparing for something like this?
Well, the attack now is being investigated as possible domestic terrorism. The suspect's social media accounts full of neo-Nazi, white supremacist posts.
Tonight, authorities are investigating that Texas mall shooting, which left 8 dead and 7 others wounded, as possible domestic terrorism. The suspect, identified as 33-year-old Mauricio Garcia, investigators tell ABC News his social media was rife with neo-Nazi ideology, racism, and hatred towards women. The Army says Garcia was discharged after only 3 months of service in 2008 over mental health concerns.
We got shots fired at the wall.
Around 3:30 Saturday afternoon, this video showing the gunman stepping out of his car and immediately turning his AR-style rifle on shoppers at the Allen Premium Outlets north of Dallas.
I see a woman running in the parking lot or trying to get to the parking lot, and she's by our window, and I see her get gunned down.
Raquel Lee sheltering with about a dozen others in a bathroom closet, taking this video. Outside, the shooting relentless.
You're thinking, oh God, we're gonna be next. And I started praying.
You actually heard the screams of the victims.
I can't get them out my head.
Then, around 3:36 p.m., an unnamed hero officer running towards the gunfire, calling for backup.
I need everybody I got.
Then saying he'd taken down the suspect alone.
I got him down.
Joshua Barnwell, a Navy vet, also rushing in to help.
I approached the woman who was conscious. She said, please work on my daughter. This woman had massive trauma, 5 to 6 gunshot wounds. I went to her daughter. I immediately started chest compressions. I knew she was gone.
Stephen Spainhour, also a vet, had raced there to check on his son, who worked at the mall. And among the dead, he found a little boy alive.
And what was the state of this little boy? You said he was about 4 years old?
Yeah, he's 4 or 5, and he was underneath some of the adults. They fell on top of him. He managed to get out, and he was covered in blood, so I got him to a safe spot so I could get him out first.
The carnage unimaginable.
There was a young police officer that was standing by me, and he looked visibly sick, and he threw up.
Police evacuating hundreds, including shopper Raquel Lee.
Come on out. Is anybody injured? No.
Walking out with their hands up. 8 people losing their lives, among them sisters Sofia and Daniela Mendoza, 2nd and 4th graders at Cox Elementary School. Their principal saying they were rays of sunshine. Their mother, Ilda, still in the hospital in critical condition. Also killed Ashwarya Tatikonda, reports our affiliate WFAA. She was an engineer. And Christian LaCour, his sister Brianna telling ABC News he will always be remembered as being a really sweet kid.
In a surprise move days after the Allen Mall shooting and hours before a key legislative deadline, a Texas House committee advanced a bill Monday that would raise the minimum age to purchase certain semi-automatic rifles. The Texas Tribune reports the bill faces an uphill climb to becoming state law, but the vote marked a milestone for the proposal. The committee voted 8-5 to send the bill to the House floor.
The Gun Violence Archive shows the U.S. has had 202 mass shootings within the first 5 months of this year alone. That compared to 647 mass shootings in 2022. The nonprofit defines mass shootings as those in which 4 or more people are shot, excluding the shooter.
Let's take a first look at your forecast with First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez. Some of us had some rain this morning, Mac, and it sounds like a lot more of us will get a lot more rain the rest of this week.
Yeah, some of the folks in Fayette County got bumps on the head with the hail that happened this afternoon. We had some stormy weather just to the north of the Interstate 10 corridor, but right now I'm focusing on the real strong complex of storms. And you notice that some are going this way and some are going this way. That means that these are driven by the sea breeze and these by the upper winds. They're going to collide. They're going to be even bigger problems. So we have severe thunderstorms in the hill country. San Antonio's down here, and we'll tell you where they're going to go coming up in just a moment. Back to you.
Mac, thank you. Now to the investigation as to why an SUV plowed into a group of people at a bus stop outside a migrant shelter in Brownsville. 8 people were killed and 10 hurt, many of them from Venezuela.
Police say the driver is in custody on charges including 8 counts of manslaughter.
Authorities have identified the driver they say crashed into a crowd of people, some of them migrants, in Brownsville, Texas, leaving at least 8 dead and 10 injured.
Investigation also revealed that the driver of the vehicle, later identified as George Alvarez, November 9th, 1988, had attempted to flee the scene after impact, but was held down by several individuals on scene.
The harrowing moment captured on this surveillance video. The group seen here just before the impact, sitting on a curb waiting for a bus. They had just left a homeless shelter that helps migrants in South Texas.
The bus is in a very busy intersection, and it's just seeing one post with the sign of the bus where people need to wait for the bus standing up. Instead of being standing up, they were sitting on the edge of the road, of the sidewalk.
Authorities say Alvarez lives in Brownsville. Sources say at this point investigators have not determined whether the crash was a deliberate act of targeting the victims because of their immigration status or an accident. Today, though, officials revealing Alvarez has a long criminal history.
George Alvarez is a Brownsville local with an extensive rap sheet. He has been formally charged and arraigned with 8 counts of manslaughter, 10 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
Back at the scene, a growing memorial as the community remembers the lives lost. Police say Alvarez is not cooperating with authorities. They add his toxicology results are pending. I'm Morgan Norwood, ABC News, New York.
Only 8% of registered voters turned out to vote for this past May 6 weekend election. The math tells us that 92% of registered voters did not go out to the polls. Political expert Woodrow Wilson Wagner says he was disappointed in the voter turnout this year. Wagner also says that seeing 2 incumbent candidates lose their seats indicates that voters are not too happy with how VISD is currently operating.
What you saw is Democrats and Republicans really voted for all the candidates. And there wasn't really a solid line that I saw that one candidate got all Republicans or one candidate got all Democrats. I think they really did cross party lines, especially the challengers. They had to really cross some party lines if they were going to unseat these incumbents.
Wagner also says the Victoria College $10 million bond passed as a result of great marketing.
This Saturday marks the 31st anniversary of Stamp Out Hunger. It's organized by the National Association of Letter Carriers. It happens every year on the second Saturday in May. So this Saturday, leave non-perishable food donations near your mailbox, and your letter carrier will make sure it gets to the food bank of the Golden Crescent.
To help all the less fortunate. And there's people that need food. It could be somebody you know, someone close that, it could be your neighbor. So we do this to help them out, without, put them out there, to help them out. It's a good thing.
The organization estimates over the course of its 30-year history, this food drive has collected well over 1.82 billion pounds of food. That's a lot of food.
That is a lot. But this is going to bring us to your viewer poll tonight. The question is, do you plan to leave a donation near your mailbox this Saturday for the food bank? I'm going to go ahead and say yes, I will. But we take a look at these results, and 37% say yes, 63% say no. Thank you for voting. Visit us tomorrow for our latest viewer poll.
And stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10, the border braces for the end of Title 42 as officials there anticipate a migrant surge.
Also ahead in San Antonio, a drive-by shooting leaves a 2-year-old dead.
A 2-year-old girl is dead after a drive-by shooting on San Antonio's north side. Authorities said the child had been standing close to the front door of her house and was hit by a bullet, killing her. 5 other children inside the home were not hurt. Police have a suspect lead but could not reveal the person's identity at this time.
It was a pathetic act by someone who really didn't care who was going to get hurt inside that house, who could have been hurt inside that house. A 2-year-old baby who happened to be standing in front of the door was struck down.
Authorities said the shooting happened at a home that was not problematic, and a single incident led up to the drive-by shooting. We are just days away from an expected surge in migrants at the U.S. border. The pandemic-era restriction called Title 42 allowed the government to turn away some migrants due to citing public health concerns.
That's right. That policy is set to expire this Thursday, just 3 days away, and now communities across the country are preparing for what happens next.
Migrant Demario Jones sees crossing the border as a singular mission.
Just want to go to the U.S. to get a work, to change my life and live a good life.
But border communities say an increase in migrants is an exponentially larger problem.
This task is going to be too great.
Yuma's mayor says a month ago, 300 people a day crossed the border near his community. Sunday, he says, there were 1,000.
The federal government is unprepared to meet the demands of the expected influx.
The governor of Texas launched a border response team because he claims the federal government isn't doing enough.
While Texas is doing everything possible to try to stop people from crossing the border, at the very same time, the President of the United States is putting out the Welcome Act.
Texas has bused migrants to places like New York City, which now wants to send some to nearby Rockland County, New York.
We cannot put the needs of the people who are being sent here ahead of our own residents.
The county executive declared a state of emergency, requiring New York City to cover costs of any migrants. Republicans in the House have put forth a bill to extend current policies, but which the White House says would make the situation worse.
The bill, H.R. 2, would be a disaster for border security and a Christmas morning gift for human smugglers.
The bill is scheduled for a vote the same day Title 42 is scheduled to expire and unlikely to pass the Democratic-controlled Senate. I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
As we just saw, the governor of Texas says the state is doing everything it can to secure the border ahead of the end of Title 42. In a briefing today, Governor Greg Abbott announced the creation of a new National Guard unit called the Texas Tactical Border Force.
Texas is doing more than any state in the history of the United States of America to defend our border. That includes deploying up to 10,000 National Guard members and 1,200 Texas Department of Public Safety troopers.
Governor Abbott says the new tactical force is being deployed to combat what he calls a failure by the Biden administration to secure the Texas-Mexican border. Alrighty, grab your cell phone and scan this QR code. This is our quick response code to download the Crossroads Today app. You can get breaking news alerts and vote in our viewer polls, get the latest news, weather, and sports, and learn all about our ongoing contests right there on the app. You can also submit news tips, videos, and photos. Here's Mac.
Thank you very much. Well, we had some stormy weather around the area, but I think you and I are going to be dealing with thunder showers the rest of the week. Yeah, that includes the weekend, too. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a moment. Good evening, everybody. I know it's dark out there, but you know, we had some stormy weather around the area, and it's something that we're going to be dealing with for the rest of the week. 77 right about now with a gentle southeast wind. Our maximum today got up to 88. Now, that's about average where we're supposed to be this time of year because it's, you know, we're getting into that early summer thing. But the overnights not getting cool at all. I mean, they should be in the mid 60s. Of course, the heat and the humidity are piling up on top of us. Now, what we had earlier today is a cluster of storms that lined up right along I-10. So places like Flatonia, north of I-10, LaGrange, Giddings, those areas got really pounded in Fayette County by heavy thunderstorms. And I wanted to point out that while that has decreased, we've got a cluster increasing, and then we got a whole line of big thunderstorms developing in northern Mexico, part of an upper air storm going this way. So you can just imagine where it's going to go in the next 6 hours, probably here. All right, let's take a look at Doppler. Now here is San Antonio, here's Victoria, here's Houston. Here's where all of the stuff occurred this afternoon between 3 and 6, then it collapsed, losing heat. But then here's what's happening now. So we have severe thunderstorms up in San Saba, not far from San Angelo, all the way down to the Junction area. And you know, if you can see right here, it's got a slow drift to the south. Okay, so what is south of that? That would be San Antonio. So that would be this little cluster, which drops south. Now, if it expands either way or turns, you know, we could be dealing with that, and I think we will be dealing with it by tomorrow, okay? So the dry line is out in West Texas. This is the humid air, this is the very dry air, and they sort of collide, and that's where many of our storms will be firing. Then in addition to this line, we've got this area of low pressure that's going to spin over us, and that would be your Tuesday night and Wednesday when more heavy rain expected. By Thursday, that one does pull away, but the line, or the dry line, continues spitting out these little sections of thunder shower activity. Now, I took the whole 5 days as far out as we could look, and this is what Future Tracker is giving us. From today until Saturday, 3 to 5 inches of rain. Okay, now that is not a loner. I mean, you see the 2 to 3 inches up in Austin, 3 to 5 Houston, San Antonio more than 5. So the computer is latching on to several days of thunderstorms compounding on each day, right? So by the end of the week, at 5 inches, we're going to have some problems. All right, here's tonight. Here's that cluster I showed you a moment ago. Here's the one coming in from northern Mexico. It is going to loop around, come down through Corpus Christi, and then roll through our area tomorrow. Yes, stormy weather. And then stormy weather will pull out of that low, but you'll see probably another line of showers right there coming in from the west. So basically, we're under the gun for some soggy stuff. Tonight, 73, we've got a 40% chance of showers, maybe by sunrise because of that stuff north of us. Tomorrow, we'll have enough heat instability to trigger off a good 40% here, so I'm looking for more showers. And then here's kind of the bad news. We've got more showers for Wednesday, a little less Thursday, Friday, and then big rain for Saturday, Sunday. We may have a little flooding by then. So if you've got plans with mom, just consider that I'm thinking it's going to be a pretty stormy weekend. That's your 7-day forecast. Now, I want to remind everybody that get your phone and scan that QR code and put Crossroads Today right on your phone, and you can take it wherever you need to be. And now, here's Gino with sports.
Thanks, Mac. The UHV Jaguars took care of business today. We have a couple of highlights after the break. At a Crossroads, the Full Force Trampoline and Tumbling team attended Region 3 championships over the weekend, and multiple athletes are bringing home hardware. The athletes competed in Fort Worth against athletes from Oklahoma, New Mexico, and here in Texas. Jaden McCarter won the Region 3 championship on both trampoline and double mini. Callie Ganaway finished second place in double mini and won the bronze medal on trampoline. Daisy Rickman and Ganaway both won first place in synchronized trampoline. Most of the competitors from Victoria qualified for nationals and are hoping to do equally as well in the biggest stage in nationals. The UHV baseball team are heading to the RRAC championship game after a close one earlier today against Louisiana State University Shreveport. The Jaguars found themselves down early on, but struck it back and took the lead. UHV had the lead by 4 heading into the 6th inning, but the Pilots came storming back and tied the game. UHV would go on to score 3 runs and get the final runner out with runner in scoring position after LSUS brought in the game within 1 run. Game 1 of the championship will be tomorrow, and UHV only needs to win that game or the one after it if they want to be champions. We have a big-time playoff baseball and softball matchups all around the area, and one of the biggest one is between the Ganado Maidens and the Shiner Lady Comanches. This year, the duo has split the series, and the last time they met, there was only 1 hit, and it was a home run by Shiner. The series will likely be close all week, starting on Wednesday in Rice at 6 o'clock. Game 2 will be in Cuero on Thursday at 6, and Game 3, if needed, will be back in Rice at 1 on Saturday. Another big softball matchup is between the defending state champions, the Hallettsville Brahmas, and the Industrial Cobras. Hallettsville swept the series against Industrial this season, but the Cobras are looking to strike back and upset the champions. The El Campo Lady Birds are coming off a victory over the Cuero Lady Gobblers and are moving on to round 3. The Lady Birds will play the Bernie Greyhounds in Del Valley starting on Thursday. Every game will be in Del Valley, including Friday and Saturday. Games 1 and 2 start at 7, while 3 will start at 5. Next, we jump over to baseball, and the Shiner Comanches are still looking over to get over the hump and win a state title after making it to the state tournament 2 years in a row, and will look to continue that search against the Refugio Bobcats. These two will be playing in our own backyard here in Victoria at Riverside Stadium in a win-or-go-home game on Wednesday. Shiner has been dominant all season and went undefeated in district. Refugio is coming off a series win over Riviera. First pitch will be at 7 o'clock. The El Campo Ricebirds baseball team are going to also take on the Bernie Greyhounds in Del Valley like the Ladybirds are. This 3-game series starts Thursday at 6 o'clock. Game 2 and 3, if needed, will be on Saturday starting at 1. Well, that's your sports. Don and Karina, back to you.
Thanks, Now stay with us. Coming up next on 25 News Now at 10, we'll take a last look at your weather. Plus, a zoo escapee returns back to her enclosure after 5 weeks. Twitter plans to purge old Twitter accounts that have been inactive for years. The social media platform says the goal is to free up old usernames, but the announcement drew backlash with many people concerned about what happens to the accounts of people who have died. Twitter announced a similar plan back in 2019, which was met with the same concerns. Right now, it is unclear if that will be a part of Twitter's new plan to purge inactive accounts.
An antelope that escaped a zoo in Massachusetts is back home with her mate after 5 weeks. Mary, who has one horn because of a birth defect, escaped from a zoo after a storm damaged a fenced enclosure. A dedicated zoo worker named Wally Lupa brought her back in safely. He said her species only needs about 10 minutes of sleep at a time and is resilient to tranquilizers. Lupa said before getting captured, she was seen with several deer who she apparently made friends with. That reminds me of a song that I won't sing, where the deer and the antelope play.
Seldom is heard.
Home on the range.
That's right.
Yes, and we've got a lot of rain coming to our home on the range.
Home on the range, and the rain falls mainly on the plain.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, we've got stormy weather all week long. Tomorrow, you're going to see some showers around the crossroads. You'll see more on Wednesday, a little less on Thursday, but more on Friday and Saturday. I'm giving you a heads up. I expect it to be a washed-out weekend with stormy weather right on through Saturday and Sunday. So just plan on that or think about that and see how that affects your outdoor plans.
Thank you, Mac. And finally tonight, a day full of pomp and British circumstance. And Saturday ended with a moment the crowd was waiting for, the appearance of the newly crowned King Charles III and Queen Camilla at Buckingham Palace. But two members of the royal family were noticeably absent from the balcony. Prince Harry and Prince Andrew. The festivities continued on Sunday with the coronation concert that took place on the grounds of Windsor Castle. The headliners included Katy Perry, Lionel Richie, and Take That. Oh, wait a minute, that's the name of a group. And Take That. Wait a minute, it was Lionel Richie, Katy Perry. Is that American Idol in Great Britain? That's kind of unusual. So.
For the crowning? But is she really queen? She's queen consort.
She's queen consort,
yeah,
right?
So it's hyphenated.
So she's not really queen. She's queen consort.
That's right.
She's not like Elizabeth.
No, not at all.
Nobody's like Elizabeth.
Nobody's like Elizabeth. I mean, you can't replace her. You know what I mean? All right. Well, thank you guys, and thank you for joining us for 25 News Now at 10. Remember, we're streaming 24/7 on Crossroads Today Plus.
Join Carolina Astorine, meteorologist Trey Mining. 25 News Now sunrise starting at 5 a.m. Good night, everybody.